agenda, fairly conventional planning commission agenda. So we have a virtual meeting tonight that we're hosting to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, protect public health, and provide essential protections to Van Buren Township residents. This Van Buren Township's Planning Commission meeting will be conducted virtually as permissible under Public Acts of 2020, Act number 254, and declaration of a health emergency by Wayne County. And there are instructions for participating in the meeting electronically on the agenda tonight, as well as on the screen here. Anybody who'd like to participate can raise their virtual hand, use the chat function to type a comment, or dial *9 if you are calling in. And of course, tonight's meeting will be on YouTube as well as on the Zoom access on our website. On tonight's agenda, there are a few new business items, although there is one change to the agenda. The applicants for case number 21-020, which is 42101 South I-94 Service Drive, we're applying for an ornamental pond, have asked to be postponed to the next feasible agenda, which is likely to be the May 26th agenda, or perhaps one of the agendas after that. But they've been asked to be postponed. Otherwise, we have two other new business items, being case 20-005, which is for a gas station redevelopment with a drive-through at the northwest corner of Haggerty Road and the North Service Drive, and then case 20-012, which is for Jiffy Lube on the corner of Tyler and Belleville Road for a final site plan review for that request. And with that said, I'll turn the rest of the agenda over to our chair for tonight.
Thank you, Director Powers. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Charter Township of Van Buren Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 12th of 2021. We'll start with a roll call, please.
Brian Cullen. Brian Kelly.
Here.
Medina Atchison is excused. Sherry Budd.
Here.
Jeff Jar.
Here.
Carol Thompson.
Here. Thank you. We have before us an agenda. I understand that there is a change in the agenda. So before we have a motion, I'll ask Director Power to let us know the status of our agenda items.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The applicants for case 21-020 have asked to have their topic removed from tonight's agenda under the new business item number 1. They would like to postpone that item to gather some additional information and to bring back a plan for a later date. So we would just ask that the Planning Commission consider removing new business item number 1 from the agenda. And that's the change that I would recommend.
Thanks, Director Power. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the agenda with new business item 1 stricken from it.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
I'll take support from Commissioner Cullen, and it's a roll call vote, please.
Sherry Budd.
Yes.
Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Brian Cullen.
Yes.
Jeff Jar.
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes, thank you very much. We also have minutes. We have minutes from the meeting of April 14th of 2021 and also from the meeting on April 28th of 2021. Is there a motion to approve the minutes either separately or together?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Jar.
I move to approve the minutes of regular meeting April 14th, 2021, and to approve the meeting minutes as submitted for the regular meeting of April 28th, 2021.
Great, thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Thanks, Commissioner Cullen, support, and a roll call vote, please.
Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Brian Cullen.
Yes.
Jeff Jar.
Yes.
Sherry Budd.
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes. All right. Agenda and minutes approved. We will move right into what on our agenda is new business item number 2. This is a preliminary site plan request for the mobile gas station redevelopment and drive-through. The request by NC Designers on behalf of the owner who is Real Estate LLC Belleville Oil Company, Inc., for a preliminary site plan to demolish buildings on an existing gasoline station site and to construct a new convenience store with retail and food service, including a drive-through lane, one drive-through window, gasoline pumps, and related site improvements. The plus or minus 1.06 acre site, which is zoned C1 General Business District, is located at 11250 Haggerty Road, tax parcel ID number 83051990003002, and it is the northwest corner of the intersection of the I-94 North Service Drive and Haggerty Road. We'll go first to Director Power and then have a presentation from our consultants.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was a comprehensive description of the topic on tonight's agenda for new business item number 2, now number 1. We have Mr. Nasser Choker from NC Designers on the call to explain the application. But before we have him do that, I'll just give the Planning Commission some history on this request. You may recall, and there are minutes in your packet that provide some background for this, but you may recall that you reviewed a special land use request for this very proposal in July of 2020. At that time, staff had looked at the basics of the proposal, its general layout, its landscaping in broad terms, and the overall development pattern, and made a recommendation that this would be a development that complements the character of the surrounding property and would be able to meet the special land use standards of the zoning ordinance. So at that time, you did review the special land use request and recommended approval of that. However, we had more details that needed to be provided, and the applicant was understanding that needed to be provided for the site plan aspect of this request. And so while the Planning Commission had held a public hearing and acted on the special land use request, the site plan was not acted on at that time. So this is bringing in the other major piece of the puzzle with this development plan, which is all the detailed aspects of the site plan relating to zoning and engineering and fire department standards that we would typically look at for a site plan review. So the request that you have tonight is to consider a new and revised overall preliminary site plan set with civil and architectural drawings, and base your review on the comments from our principal planner and township engineer and fire marshal. And then if the Planning Commission decides to approve or conditionally approve that preliminary site plan request, then that request together with the special land use recommendation would go to the Board of Trustees for consideration of the special land use. And then the detailed engineering review would occur from that point forward before we get back to a final site plan review with the Planning Commission at a later date. So again, just to summarize briefly, this is a project you've seen before, but we're now looking at the site plan aspect of it instead of the special land use aspect of it. And to start that conversation, I'd like to go first to the township's principal planner, Vidya Krishnan, who has a update on the previous letter regarding the special land use request, as well as a full letter for the preliminary site plan request.
Thank you, Director Power. Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. As Director Power said, it's been a while since you've seen the special land use request. So I'm just going to summarize that review letter really in brief, because it's been several months since it has been before you. As the chairperson stated, the applicant's proposal is for a new gas station with a drive-through restaurant on a site with an existing gas station and convenience store, which are to be demolished. The site is zoned C1, general business, located at the northwest corner of I-94 Service Drive and Haggerty Road intersection. The site is zoned C1, which is general business district, and the zoning ordinance permits gasoline filling stations as the principal permitted use, but the drive-through restaurant is permitted as a special land use. Now, our ordinance has a specific set of review standards which are generally applicable to all special land uses. And this project was reviewed and found to be in conformance to all 9 of these standards. Basically, if the proposed drive-through is located at a location that is suited for public convenience, if it is compatible with the adjacent uses of land, if it will protect public health, safety, and welfare as it is designed, whether it can be served by the utilities and the public facilities available at the township, whether it will help conserve natural energy and resources, whether it follows the applicable zoning regulations without causing any harm to the properties that are located nearby it, and whether it's a valid exercise of police power. These are the general standards that the site does comply with. In addition to this, there are 4 specific standards for drive-throughs which are applicable to this site. I shall go over those. The first one was the entrance to or exit from such a use shall be located at least 100 feet from the intersection of any 2 streets. When this plan came before you previously, the access drive of Haggerty did not meet this requirement, and since then it has been revised in order to comply. All such uses shall have direct ingress and egress through a paved major thoroughfare. Now, the ingress and egress is of Haggerty and I-94 Service Drive, both of which are major thoroughfares. All lighting and illuminated display cannot reflect onto adjacent residential zoning district and must meet the ordinance requirement. Now, the site does not abut any residential district. However, the photometric plan needed to be adjusted in order to comply with the lighting plan, with the lighting requirements of the zoning ordinance. There is still some tweaks that need to be made, which I will go over in my site plan review letter. And finally, the site is not located within 1,000 feet of any place of congregation of children. So the general standards are also met except for certain tweaks to the lighting. At your meeting on July 22nd of last year, you had made a recommendation to approve this drive-through special land use to the Township Board of Trustees. However, there were still a lot of unresolved issues on the site plan. So the township held back the special land use approval. It has not yet been presented to the Township Board of Trustees. Hopefully, after tonight's review and action on the preliminary site plan, the special land use will then be forwarded to the Board of Trustees. I'll go over the site plan review letter in brief. Now, the required setbacks for the C1 district are front, side, and rear are 75, 15, and 25 feet. The site plan as proposed complies. Director Power, if possible, if we could have the site plan on the screen, it would help the Planning Commission and the members of the audience follow along. With respect to the curb cuts, the site has an existing curb cut of Haggerty Road and one of the I-94 Service Drive. The access has been revised in order to maintain a distance of at least 100 feet from the intersection. The lanes of ingress and egress are shown clearly on the pavement. With regard to cross-access, it is the township's policy to require cross-access to abutting properties because this is in the interest of a large-scale access management plan. The applicant has shown a cross-access on the north property line. If you look at the northeast side, Director Power, if you could zoom in a little bit, maybe it'll be more legible. Yes, the north access drive, it shows a cross-access point over there. And then again, there is a cross-access shown on the southwest side of the property. And both of these will help connect in the future to any other development that takes place. Currently, those points are vacant. There is a 21-foot wide access drive-through lane on the west side of the proposed building. So the drive-through works on the north side, moving to the west side, then the south side of the building and exiting. We had the fire department review the width of the access drive on the west side of the building for adequacy, and that was approved by the fire department. There are existing sidewalks along the site's 2 street frontages. They're both 5 feet wide, and a new sidewalk is also proposed on the east side of the building with a width of 5 feet. With regard to parking and loading, the ordinance has specific requirement for the number of spaces to be provided at the pumps and for the fast food restaurant itself. At this time, the site complies with all of the parking requirements. The applicant had to revise the site plan at least 3 different times in order to be able to meet the parking requirements. Our ordinance also has a standard where you have a site that is located within a certain distance from a freeway. You do need to provide 2 spaces that are adequate for RV or a trailer being pulled behind it to park. The site plan shows that on the southeast corner of the site. It took a while for the applicant to revise the plans in order to find a space where they could actually accommodate those vehicles. 2 required barrier-free spaces have been included. Yes, this is a much clearer site plan. On the bottom right corner, if you see, that is where the proposed RV parking spaces are shown. Since this is right off the freeway, I think it's a safe assumption that you will have people who are taking their RVs, stopping by to access the restaurant or the gas station itself. 2 barrier-free accessible spaces are provided, which meets the ordinance requirements. A loading zone is required and is shown on the northwest corner of the site. It is not the most ideal location. However, there is no other possible place on the site where they could have placed it without interfering with circulation on the site. The applicant has noted that all loading, unloading activity will take place during after drive-through hours so as not to create any blockage in the area. A crosswalk is also shown on the north side of the building in order to provide employees a safe place to cross the drive-through lane and make their way across to the dumpster to get rid of the trash. There are extensive landscape requirements for the site since it abuts the freeway, which includes frontage landscaping along the service drive and Haggerty Road, parking lot landscaping, landscaping along all the property lines, greenbelt buffering, and outdoor space landscaping. The applicant has submitted a landscape plan which indicates several trees and shrubs along with ornamental plantings in order to enhance and update the site and make it look attractive with the new plantings proposed. There is a total of 4 trees on the site, 3 of which are more than 5 inches in caliper that the applicant is proposing to remove. They are replacing it on a 1:1 ratio as required by our ordinance. Detention for the site is, this is the landscape plan that is in front of you. As you can see, the applicant is proposing numerous cluster of trees, shrubs, and other plantings, which will make this a really well landscaped site as you come off the freeway. Detention is going to be provided by an underground detention system, and that is subject to review by Wayne County and the township engineer. There is a photometric plan that has been submitted for this project. It includes a combination of light poles and also building wall mounted fixtures. Manufacturer's cut sheet detail for the fixtures have been submitted, and those do meet the ordinance requirements, except for the light fixture shown on the underside of the canopy. If you look at the bottom left side fixture, which says LED canopy ceiling luminaire, that has actually got a dropped lens, which means it's the old-fashioned style lighting where the light will spill out. We do not allow that kind of fixture, so that needs to be replaced with a lens that is flat, so that the light will be recessed within it and the light will fall down and be downward directed rather than spread out to the sides. So that fixture needs to be replaced. The lighting plan also needs to show the entire light pole at this time. If you see on the bottom, the fixture mounting style is shown, but the entire light pole height from grade to the top of the fixture is not shown. That needs to be included. With regard to architecture, the applicant did go several rounds before they came up with architecture that met the township ordinance standards. The drive-through window is located on the south elevation with the order lane wrapping around the rear of the building. The new gas station convenience store building will be constructed of brick, limestone, glass with a metal panel roof and suspended metal awnings. And the elevation does include a breakdown of all the materials that are proposed. The gas station canopy, the old style used to be to have flat roof canopies. We had asked the applicant to consider providing some relief and not go with the standard flat roof and include some pitch. So at this time, they have included a pitched roof in order to give a slightly more architectural appeal to the gas station canopy itself. Ideally, we believe a shingled roof would be more attractive, but we can see that the applicant has proposed a metal roof above the canopy, so it matches the metal roof that is on the convenience store building. So it sort of ties the two buildings together. However, the Planning Commission can provide their input whether they find the matching design an acceptable standard. We, however, do recommend that if they are to go with the metal, they use an alternate color. The silver gray, I'm not sure if the rendering is not accurately reflecting it, but it looks sort of washed out. maybe a different color can be used that actually enhances the brick and the limestone that's being proposed on the building. If you look at the rendering, the standing seam metal panels and the metal roofing that's being used doesn't really seem to work well with the rest of the colors on the building. A dumpster enclosure is proposed on the northwest corner of the site, and it does meet ordinance requirements. Finally, with regard to signage, if we could have the site plan again, Director Power. There is an existing billboard sign and a monument sign, new monument sign shown on the site plan. In addition, there is proposed to be a menu board sign. Now, a colored rendering for the canopy signage has been included, but the canopy sign area has not been totaled. That is also subject to ordinance requirements. So we need a detailed sign area package for what's going to be on the canopy. We also need more details on the menu board sign itself with regard to how tall it's going to be, what kind of illumination is going to be, so on and so forth. Finally, there is a tall, non-conforming pole sign located on the southwest corner of the site. It is labeled as a billboard on the sign. However, it is not a billboard based on ordinance definition. Billboard is something that advertises a business that is not located on the site itself. In this case, it is a massive pylon sign. It says mobile. So basically, it is advertising the business that is located on the site itself. It is classified as a non-conforming pole sign, not a billboard. The township, whenever it has reviewed a site that is undergoing full rebuild, such as the project before you tonight, we have always encouraged and required the removal of existing non-conforming signs. So we had this comment from our first review letter. However, the applicant has kept the sign on the plans all this while in the hope of retaining it. We continue to recommend that the non-conforming pole sign must be removed from the site. When everything else is being built new and in conformance to the ordinance standards, there really is no justification for keeping a non-conforming sign on the site. The applicant has been working with the township for the past several months in order to revise the design and provide better circulation, better architecture, and accommodate all of the required parking. Therefore, we recommend preliminary approval of the site plan for the proposed mobile gas station to be located at 11250 Haggerty Road, subject to the 6 conditions that are listed in our site plan review letter dated April 19th of 2021. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Krishnan. I think unless anyone has a question to ask right now, we'll go on to Fishbeck's review and hear from Mr. Kamer.
The chair, Madam Chair, we have Mr. Stephen Clayton here tonight from Fishbeck in place of.
Okay, great. Mr. Clayton, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you, Dan Powell and members of the board. I'll be reading from our letter, Fishbeck letter dated April 22nd, 2021. This is for the mobile gas station at 11250 Haggerty Road. We reviewed the plan for preliminary site plan approval. At this time, Fishbeck examines and reviews the feasibility of the engineering aspects of the site, but we'll hold off on conducting the full engineering review until a later time. We recommend the Planning Commission grant the mobile gas station preliminary site plan approval for engineering feasibility. With this recommendation, it is understood that the applicant is required to conduct further investigation of all existing site utilities, adjust and expand on their underground utility design to accommodate these findings, which I will touch on again as I go through the letter. Please note the previous site plan had been recommended for preliminary site plan approval in our previous letter dated November 11th, 2020. One of our general comments was that the preliminary plans appeared to be 2 separate packages submitted as one with 2 cover sheets and 2 sheet indexes. There are also multiple sheets with the same number. We would ask the applicant to clarify which sheets are part of this middle package and include only 1 cover sheet and 1 index, and remove all outdated sheets with their next submittal. For the water main service, the plans need to indicate how the new building will be connected with water service. If this is through the existing service line or through a proposed water line, this should be shown on the plans. So further development indicating feasibility needs to be included with the engineering plan set. Also, there's an existing water line service appearing to, or indicated that it is crossing the adjacent property. If verified that this is correct, then the applicant needs to provide a utility easement with the adjacent property owner if the existing line is to be used. Otherwise, they'll be required to install a new service line with all the requirements that will come into play when tapping into the water main further south along Haggerty Road. For the sanitary sewer, again, the plans need to indicate how the new building will be connected with the sanitary sewer service. If it is through the existing service line or through the proposed line, that needs to be shown in the plans. And then further development indicating feasibility needs to be included with the plan set. The indication of this one, as well as the water main, indicated that the existing sanitary sewer service line crosses the adjacent property. If verified that this location is correct, the applicant must provide a utility easement agreement with the adjacent property owner if the existing line is to be used. Otherwise, the applicant will be required to install a new service line within the property and tap into the public sanitary sewer further upstream, which means that the applicant may also need to extend the public sanitary sewer further south to accommodate that need. For the storm sewer, we just noted in general, there needs to be further investigation of the existing system. The plans indicate no ultimate discharge point and currently indicate runoff discharging to a structured and isolated system. The plan set also indicates a new underground storage basin being placed on top of existing storm sewer lines and structures, but don't indicate how the upstream flow will be captured. So the applicant must determine how the existing site is drained and how the new site will modify the system. With this, the applicant must verify that there's enough grade difference existing between the proposed underground storage system and the point of connection to the existing drainage system. That would be a concern of ours. The underground storage must also indicate how they have enough strength and capacity at current depths to fulfill all stormwater and traffic needs. We also noted that the soil borings information must be included with the plan set and account for likely poor soil conditions and high groundwater levels in the area of the existing stormwater detention swale on the west side of the property. Currently, the existing driveway is shown to be placed directly on top of the area of the existing swale. We also anticipate meeting all the other comments that were found in our letter dated April 22nd, 2021. But again, we recommend preliminary site plan approval for the mobile gas station. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Clayton. Director Power, we also have a preliminary or conditional approval from the fire marshal. Anything of note in that letter?
Just to piggyback on the, well, I'll mention some comments from that fire letter, and I'll just piggyback on the engineering comments to say there were a couple of odds and ends items on sheet SP7 also regarding the stormwater maintenance agreement language that the township engineer, myself, and the applicant have discussed briefly. So those will also be addressed prior to the final site plan submittal. And then on the fire department comments, the fire marshal had just mentioned that the door leading to from the sales floor to the storage room needs to swing in the direction of egress travel, and that at attended motor fuel dispensing facilities, the devices or disconnects shall be readily accessible and labeled with an approved sign stating emergency fuel shutoff. And those were the only remaining comments from the fire marshal. A lot of his comments have been addressed.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. I understand we have the applicant with us. Let's hear what the applicant has to say about their plans and any response that they have to the recommendation letters.
So we have applicant Mr. Nasser Choker on the line. Nasser, you might need to unmute.
Am I unmuted? Yeah. Yeah. Good evening. Good afternoon. Good evening. Am I unmuted then?
Yes, we
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay. I'm sorry. I
No,
wasn't
that's
sure.
okay. I know this is it's such a
Yeah.
good way to conduct our
Uh,
business, isn't it?
Thank you. We've been, for the past half hour talking about what's been going on, and I don't want to repeat what we've been going through. And we cleaned up the site plan as much as we can for now to get approval. And the reason why the owner finally decided to do a new construction on the site, to clean up the site and to enhance the site and to bring it to code. As you see, the building, it's really in bad shape, and we're trying to put something would fit the community and the area in that corner. And I would be more than happy to answer any questions. But I just want to say regarding the engineering plan was submitted to the Wayne County, and we are waiting on revision or approval from them. Although regarding the signs, we did send a package of all the signage that it's going to be put on the building or on the canopies and the dispensers. If there is anything have to be changed, we are willing to do and follow code, or the ordinance, what it requires us to do. And I guess I can answer now any questions.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll go to questions or comments from the Planning Commission. Commissioners, anything?
Madam Chair, I have a question for staff.
Sure. Commissioner Jar.
Staff, is there any concern about the number of stacking spaces for the drive-through?
If I may answer that. Commissioner Jar, the site plan does show the required number of stacking spaces. The ordinance regulates how many spaces need to be there till you reach the order window, from the order station, from the menu board till the pickup window, and beyond that. So the site does comply with the required stacking spaces.
Excellent, excellent. And Director Power, thanks for looking into sheet SP7 for me. I appreciate that. That's all.
Great. Thanks, Commissioner Jar. Other commissioners?
Madam Chair,
Sure. Commissioner Kelly.
I believe or Krishna asked or made some comments about a metal roof with the design with the shingles. I like how they pulled the roof together. I would have some questions about the metal or the coloring of the metal, but I like the concept, and they're so much more durable than the asphalt, that doing it on a commercial building, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I also am in agreement with the fact that we need to bring the signs up to current code, and that the whole property, when you redo it, must be in conformance. But I do have one practical question once all the applicant questions are completed.
There is a question to me?
Oh, the question's for, I believe, Director Power, but I think I can wait until we're concluded with questions. for the
Great.
applicant.
Thanks, Commissioner Kelly. Other commissioners, questions or comments? I'll ask the applicant if they're in agreement about changing the canopy lighting, since that goes to both special use as well as site plan.
Yes, anything, have to do with lighting. If it's not in compliance, we are willing to comply with what the ordinance and what the city requires us to do.
Great, thank you. And I'll also ask the applicant, have you and the owners had a discussion about the removal of the pylon sign?
That, I'm not sure. That's the impossible. I would bring that to him and tell him that that was a part of the items that was requested, and I should have an answer.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Sure. Ms. Krishnan.
I just want Mr. Narsil to be aware that once the planning commission takes action, he can convey to his owner that it no longer is a request, it is a requirement. If he chooses not to remove the sign, at that point, the preliminary site plan approval becomes void. So if it is made a condition of approval tonight, the owner has no choice but to comply. It is not an option at that point. So just so, Mr. Nasser, you understand that. So the owner will not have options once the planning commission has ruled that it needs to be removed.
Okay.
All right, thanks for the clarification. I think Commissioner Kelly, we can go back to your question for Director Power.
It was a procedural question. I understand that we've already looked at this regarding preliminary site plan. Do you, for any motions, would you want it as two separates? As another request for the preliminary and then address the second issue, or sorry, the special land use and then the separate one for preliminary site plan? Would you like them broken up into two motions?
That's a really good question. And typically you're going to have a special land use request on the same agenda as a preliminary site plan request. In this case, though, the planning commission, well, I should say the planning commission is not required to have them on the same agenda. In this case, the planning commission took action both on the public hearing and required motion on the special land use back on July 22nd. And so while this is all part of the same project, there's no motion required for the special land use. So we'll take that motion from July on the special land use and your recommendation on the preliminary site plan night together to the board. So you just need a motion on the preliminary site plan.
Thank you so much. Your Honor. Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, hold on for 1 second before you do that, and let's see if there's anyone in the audience to comment on this agenda item. Any chat notes or raised hands?
Madam Chair, I see no chat notes specifically about this topic or raised hands.
Great. All right, Commissioner Kelly, let's have a motion.
Thank you. I move to grant the applicant NC Designers preliminary site plan approval for the demolition and redevelopment of the property located at 11250 Haggerty Road, based on the analysis and subject to the conditions detailed in the McKenna letter dated April 19th, 2021, the Fishback letter dated April 22nd, 2021, and the Van Buren Fire Department analysis and letter dated April 8th, 2021.
Great, thank you. Is there support?
Madam Chair, I support that motion.
Thanks, Commissioner Jar, and we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Brian Cullen,
Yes.
Brian Kelly,
Yes.
Sherry Budd, Jeff Jar,
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes. All right, so the motion goes forward with a recommendation to Township Board on the special land use. And we'll look forward to seeing lots more engineering and answers to anything else outstanding when you come back to us for final. Thanks to the applicant.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, moving to item 2 under new business. It is the final site plan for Jiffy Lube minor vehicle service. A request, the applicant Jiffy Lube International Inc. on behalf of owner Meyer Inc. to construct a plus or minus 3,064 square foot minor vehicle service building along with related site improvements. The proposed site plan is located on the south side of Tyler Road, east of Belva Road, on a proposed plus or minus 0.71 out parcel to be divided and created from portions of the 39.4 acre parcel at 9701 Belva Road. tax ID number 83058990006-705, and a vacant 1.33 acre parcel, tax ID 83058990006-707. The property is zoned C2, that is Extensive Highway Business District, and is also in the Belleville Road Overlay District called the B-Rod. We'll have first an introduction by Director Powers, and then we'll hear from our consultants.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This site plan is in the next stage of review in comparison with the last case. This is a request for final site plan review. So for a little bit of history on this request, the Planning Commission first reviewed this at their only meeting in November of 2020. And at that time, the site plan was reviewed simultaneously with a special land use, the preliminary site plan was reviewed simultaneously with a special land use request for the minor vehicle service use for this Jiffy Lube vehicle service proposal. And there were special land use standards for both the specific aspects of being a minor vehicle service use, as well as the general special land use standards. And so based on that special land use review and recommendation, and the recommendation to proceed with the preliminary site plan, the Planning Commission forwarded their recommendation to the Township Board for their next available meeting, which was December 1st. And so this project has gone through both preliminary site plan approval and special land use approval, both by the Planning Commission and Township Board. Following that approval, the applicant has undergone extensive engineering review and has gotten approvals necessary from Wayne County, and the recommendation for approval from our township engineer, as well as a review and approval recommendation from our principal planner on the zoning aspects of the site plan. And so I will otherwise defer to their comments. We have Vidya Krishnan here again to talk about the zoning and planning aspects of the final site plan. Stephen Clayton here for the engineering aspects, and then I can summarize the very minimal comments from the fire marshal. And I'll just say that if this is recommended for approval after tonight's meeting, there's no further action required by the Planning Commission or Board, but there are some conditions that you'll hear we will require prior to a pre-construction meeting and prior to construction beginning. So with that being said, I'll defer to our staff to go over the other review comments.
Thank you, Director Power. Members of the Commission, as was summarized, the applicant Jiffy Lube International is proposing to construct a 3,064 square foot building, which offers light automotive service repair, including oil change, replacement, replenishment of lubricants, replacement of light bulbs, tire service, and battery testing. This is one of the outlots of Meyer, located frontage onto Tyler Road. The applicant received preliminary site plan approval from Planning Commission on November 11th of the previous year. There were certain conditions that the Planning Commission had listed, subject to which preliminary site plan approval was given. I shall summarize those. The first one was that lot split and combination must be completed prior to start of construction. This condition has already been met. The Township Assessor has confirmed to us that the outlot has been formally split off from the Meyer parcel and has been recorded as its own tax parcel ID. We had asked for a copy of an irrevocable shared parking and cross-access easement agreement with Meyer. The reason we had asked for this is because in the event the Meyer parcel is sold or the Jiffy Lube parcel is sold, we don't want all access to Jiffy Lube to be cut off because access to the parcel is via the Meyer parcel. The applicant did submit a copy of the parking easement and access easement. However, those documents need to be notarized, signed, and recorded with the Wayne County Registrar of Deeds, and a recorded copy needs to be provided to us for our files. The stormwater detention system was subject to review and approval by the township's engineer and Wayne County. I believe the applicant has covered that stage at this time, and I'll defer to the township engineer for their review. There was a clarification required regarding the growth of the trees that are screening, growth of the shrubs that are screening the parking lot. Our B-Rod district has specific standards for growth. The applicant has added the note on the landscape plan to comply. The photometric plan, when it came before you previously, did not have illumination for the plaza area. This is a small area along the frontage on Tyler Road where they had brick pavers and benches. We did want to make sure that there is lighting there for pedestrian safety and in case anybody chooses to sit there. The revised plan does show 2 bollard light fixtures in that area. The building architecture was subject to significant discussion at preliminary review, and they were asked to include true brick and additional brick accent bands on the building to comply with the BDOT requirements. We believe this condition can be met. They have changed the elevations to comply with the minimum 50% glazing or window required for the ground floor that faces a public street. The thin veneer face brick has been replaced with a different type of veneer. Now, the elevations that are included on sheet A4 refers to detail A7 and A7.1 for the brick, basically to show what the brick looks like. But those details are not there anywhere on the site plan. It might have just been an omission when they were printing out the sheets. So our suggestion had been that the applicant present a colored rendering to you tonight at this meeting so that you can take a look at what they're proposing and if it meets the standards. And finally, special land use approval was granted for the proposed use by the Township Board of Trustees on December 1st of the last year. At this time, we believe all the conditions of preliminary site plan approval have been met. So we are recommending the Planning Commission grant final site plan approval for Jiffy Lube to be located at 9701 Belleville Road, subject to submission of a recorded copy of the parking and the access. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Krishnan. We'll go right to Fishbeck's recommendation.
Members of the board, I'll be reading from my letter, from Fishbeck letter dated May 4th, 2021 for final site plan approval for the Jiffy Lube multi-care services facility. The plans were dated April 29th, 2021. We are recommending final site plan approval based on an engineering review. However, until the comments listed in our letter are amended per the township standards, the final Eagle permits cannot be submitted and the pre-construction meeting not held. We just had a couple questions or comments on the sewer and some other general comments, which I'll cover in my letter. Please note the applicant also submitted a response letter dated April 2nd, 2021, addressing concerns from the previous engineering plan review letter dated February 26, 2021. In general, the irrigation plans should be updated to show the current water main alignment. For the water main, the easement agreement between the applicant and property owner for the extension of the proposed water main should include the extension for the proposed hydrant. And then regarding the sanitary sewer, the overall depth of the proposed sanitary sewer needs to be lowered. If the intent of the sewer is to serve both outlots to the east of the property, the current configuration does not offer enough depth to extend the proposed public sanitary main within the current standards of the township. The applicant should demonstrate that the proposed depth of the sanitary sewer to be installed allows for any extension of the sewer to each outlot while maintaining the proper minimum slopes and depth of cover. The applicant had submitted a basis of design calculation separately. That calculation must be included as part of the issued for a construction plan set, not as a separate document. And then we would also request soil borings near the location of the existing sanitary main connection due to the need for deep excavations at the connection location. The need for dewatering and soil support needs to be determined. We also had a brief comment about question about the storm sewer outlet pipe at the underground storage system. The outlet pipe slope is shown to be 0.5%. We looked at the invert elevations. We just had questions about that slope appearing to be closer to 3%. We just asked that the applicant review any discrepancies and address those. The minimum velocity for the outlet pipe needs to be 2.5 feet per second. However, with these comments, again, we recommend that the Planning Commission grant the Jiffy Lube Multi-Service Center final site plan approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clayton. We'll go back to Director Power with a summary from the fire marshal and then any comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will just say that there was actually a reduction in the comments from the fire marshal because there was a older letter that was included, that I included in your packet, and I will just get that comment momentarily. There's only one comment left, and I apologize. I'm finding it now. I thought I had it on the materials for tonight. Here we go. So the only comment left from the fire marshal is that building the suspense. Here we go. The fire code listed as used for the site plan was the International Fire Code of 2012, and the adopted fire code for Van Buren Township is the NFPA 1 of 2018. So all future submittals will need to comply with that code. So that's just a clarification that needs to be made on the final site plan drawings. And that
Okay.
was, thank you.
Anything else on the engineering? Director Power?
No other comments on the engineering. You just heard some comments from our township engineer, Mr. Clayton, that there are going to be some items that need to be addressed at the time of the pre-construction meeting. And there's a pretty rigorous process for pre-construction in the township engineering standards manual. So we'll be sure we catch those things in coordination with the applicant by that time. I did have one comment, just something going back to what planner Ms. Krishnan said, is that we have asked the applicant to provide some additional information about their elevations tonight. So of course they'll have an opportunity to speak as well, and maybe they can share some of that information when they present.
All right, then. Let's go to the applicant now and see what they have to share with us, and hopefully some information as well as some of the illustrations requested.
Good evening. Am I able to be heard?
We can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and hearing us tonight. I will share my screen to answer the questions, but we have reviewed all the comments and worked diligently with staff to address as much as we can to get our contingent approval tonight that we'd be seeking from this board. We intend to meet all the required items. We're not seeking any variances or have any other objections to the comments that are in the letters, and we'll continue to work with engineering staff in preparation for the pre-construction meeting and following some of those suggestions, specifically about the sanitary sewer and the depth, so that it can serve our property and then potentially a property to the east. If I could share the screen, I would like to start with, excuse me here. Dan, will it let me share the entire screen or just a program?
Should let you share your entire screen on the Zoom window.
Okay, let's see if this is. So are you able to see a detail, stone sill detail?
Yep.
Okay, so as referenced in the letter from McKenna Associates, this is the the plan sheet A7.0 that's referenced on our elevations. So as was in the previous comments, we did remove the thin brick veneer and replace it with a full brick. So here you have this is a wall section along the front. You have a block veneer with a precast sill that I'll move to that in large detail in a second, and then a full modular brick above. So our intent is to comply fully with the requirements and the recommendations from the previous letter, and as indicated on the last page of the McKenna letter that you have in front of you. So that is the wall section, and here's an enlarged view for the stone sill. So again, you see the block veneer for the bottom wainscot course for the stone sill, and then the brick veneer, the full-size modular brick veneer above. Also, I have a rendering of the building, a colored rendering of the building to again demonstrate the color scheme. So one thing I will identify here is that this is missing our horizontal access soldier course, but the color scheme it is what we'll see in the future, and it was selected in conjunction with the staff to match the surrounding developments, the Meyer and the other items in this area. And again, we feel that the look and the color and the materials is a good match for the area and does continue the look you have in your overlay district along this road. With that, I think I'll open up to questions from our side. It was a very comprehensive review from staff and in your review reports.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'll ask for questions and comments from the commission first.
Madam Chair, is the tax parcel ID now combined into one tax parcel ID, or is it a brand new tax parcel ID different from the two that were called out in the agenda? That's a question for staff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and through the chair, the parcel division was approved by the township assessor. The underlying parcel fabric that defined the original application is what the noticing was based on for the original application. So that's still kind of underlying everything, but the land split application, I believe, has assigned a new parcel number to the parcel on the west end, and that's being processed and will be updated in the next tax rolls.
Okay, I was thinking about the process of making a motion when we needed that, if we needed to read the new parcel ID in or not as a technical matter. Thanks. I would comment, I do like the color rendering of the building. It's very nice, sir. Thank you for the effort you put into making it look so great.
Thank you. We appreciate that comment.
Anything else, Commissioner Jar?
No, ma'am.
Great. Thank you. Other comments or questions from commission? Anyone? Anyone in the audience? Questions or comments for staff or the applicant? Any hands raised, Director Power?
No, I see no hands raised and nothing in the chat.
Right. Okay. The applicant has done their homework and responded to all of the conditions previously. Is the Planning Commission ready for a motion? Anyone?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Jar?
quick question for staff. I apologize. Fire Marshal Lanahan's comments that you read into the record, were they dated, or are they simply referenced comments to his letter of February 24th?
The new letter was the April 19th. It's the date of-
19th. Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, at this time, I would move in the matter of case 20-012, final site plan for Jiffy Lube minor vehicle service. I move to grant final site plan approval for Jiffy Lube minor vehicle service to construct a plus or minus 3,064 square foot minor vehicle service building along with related site improvements located at 9701 Belleville Road, subject to the conditions and requirements in the McKenna, May 5th, 2021 letter, Fishbeck letter, May 4th, 2021, and Fire Marshal Lanahan's letter of April 19th, 2021.
Great, thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Commissioner Collins, support, and a roll call vote, please.
Sherry Budd,
Yes.
Brian Kelly,
Yes.
Brian Cullen,
Yes.
Jeff Jar,
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes. All right, we have our final approval, some homework to do with the engineers, and we'll look forward to seeing your lovely building when it's up on Tyler Road. Thanks so much to the applicant. Thanks to staff, our planners and engineers, and Director Powers and all of his staff. Excellent work.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too. We are to general discussion and updates. Director Power, anything to report?
I will keep the Planning Commission posted on the agenda for the May 26th meeting. Otherwise, I will just reference that we did have a comment in the chat on a non-agenda item, and that was a question from Mr. Stephen Dark about residential developments. Are there any updates about the lakefront condo development off of Huron River Drive? And other than that, are there any new potential single-family housing developments that might come along soon? It's been a long time since the township has seen an entirely new subdivision. Thanks. And there are no updates on the answer I shared with that is that there are no updates on the previously discussed concept for a residential development at 41620 East Huron River Drive, which is my assumption of what Mr. Dark is asking about. I could be wrong, but there's also no other formal applications for new single-family housing at this time, although we have had some preliminary conversations about some residential concepts in the last 6 months, but nothing has come forth as an application yet. That's all my updates.
Great. Commissioners, anything for general discussion?
Through the chair.
Sure, Commissioner Bud.
It's just a dumb question. It's about the Jiffy Lube. It's facing Tyler Road. It has its own parcel ID on Parcel Road. And they should have a mailbox out there. So I'm wondering why their address remains Belleville. I think it ought to be Tyler Road.
Through the chair. I can, if you don't mind, I can give an update on, I just pulled up the land division information. So the noticing and the description of this is still based on the original parcel address and the parent parcel. And for the record, I can clarify that there are new tax ID numbers that will be taking effect. And the new parcel numbers are provided here as it's 83-058-99-0006-711 and 712. I don't have with me tonight the new assigned address, but I will double check that and make sure these are addresses that are on Tyler Road. The Belleville Road address that was with the original notice was based on the parent parcel being affiliated with the Meyer site on Belleville Road. But that's a very good point. I'll report back on the assigned address for the site once that's forthcoming with the processed land split application.
All right. Anyone else? Questions or updates or general discussion? Announcements? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Commissioner Bud. Support?
Support.
Commissioner Jar. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Good
Good night,
evening.
everyone.
Good
Thanks,
evening.
everyone.
Have a great night, everyone.